So Bunty, yeah. So I get people asking me if that's my real name all the time. Like people who've known me for years as well ask me if it's my real name, which it is. And it's not short for anything, I don't think. But yeah, the simple answer is I'm named after a comic book from the 1950s, which is pretty cool. I like mine. I used to hate it and want to cry and want to be called Sarah because like 5 of my friends were called Sarah. It's nice to be able to have a name that not many people have. It's odd, and I'm a bit odd. Grew up in Sydenham in London, at the top of a big hill called Peak Hill, but I think most of my memories come from Lancaster, where I moved up when I was 7 or something. I had a good childhood. I really enjoyed those years. I was a very creative kid, for sure. I spent most of my time making, and when I wasn't making, I was outside. Those years, I think that they've kind of really encapsulated who I am now. I think now I think in terms of projects. So if I'm trying to think of a project, I think you can call it a project when you're like 5 years old, but I had projects, and quite often they would come from Blue Peter and the projects they would set on Blue Peter, but then I would go extreme with them. A pile of boxes, if you line them up, they look like townscapes. Every Pop-Tarts box got turned inside out and then had windows cut out of it. I mean, I think the project set by the TV show was a nice starting point, but then I went rogue with it and it got bigger and bigger. My parents were like, stop building this town because it's taken over your whole bedroom. My mum's like, she paints, she knits, she's kind of an all-rounder creative. She's seamstress, she kind of does like a lot of different things. My dad's an architect, but he also makes like junk sculptures out of things he finds, which I think for him is a way of processing art in a much more organic way. They've always encouraged us to do stuff that's creative, but never in a way that's been oppressive or forceful or anything. So we each grew into our natural selves without any real coercion, but just encouragement to be who we wanted to be. So I got a huge level of respect for my parents for that. And you don't really realise how good that is until you are at this age. College and school, I was so prolific and I made so much work that I was happy with, and then university just struggled. I had some medical stuff as well, like I suffered from temporal lobe epilepsy for the first year of my university, which it's a very bizarre thing. It's temporal lobe epilepsy. It's not like physical epilepsy. It's very much like blackouts and panic attacks and stuff. So it's just like it was a very dark time creatively for me, because if I'd have taken my work from college and popped it in university, I probably would have got a better grade. So yeah, I think that maybe thinking about it, actually, the temporal lobe epilepsy stopped me really introducing myself to the idea of university. Thinking about it, like I never spoke to my friends about the temporal lobe epilepsy thing, really. I was kind of on my own with it. So I mean, look, like, this is therapy. I've actually never really thought about it, but that's probably the part and parcel of why I didn't enjoy uni, because I started off on a really bad foot and then never really had a network of people who could help me through it. I had no confidence in myself. I just created some very bizarre work. Like I could just make something, and why is that? Why does that exist? No one wants to look at that. No one wants to see. That's not serving any purpose. So that's what I was doing in uni, was just serving no purpose and just get all these dead ends. But there was an underlying reason for that, and I never really addressed it, and I've never really forgiven myself for it, I guess. God, it's quite depressing. So when I left uni, I worked full time. Yeah, I was 23 when I left. Kind of threw myself into the working world and worked in a bakery early till mid-afternoon, and then would go home, and then I would go to work at the pub in the evening till early in the morning, and then I would go to the bakery early in the morning till early afternoon, and this like cycle with about half that time again, so then maybe 20 hours a week just making stuff for myself, for my friends and family, and then people would start to commission me to do stuff. I'd created this paper bird which I photographed like suspended, and each feather was like individually cut out of paper, and that was the first time I ever made anything that felt like it was right. Like it wasn't just I'm making this thing, it goes in a cupboard, I'm never going to see it again. It was I made something, I enjoyed it, I want to make more things like that thing. I made this huge dragon for Minecraft convention. Then I worked on this film called The Mind's Wood, which was actually screened at the Picture House, which film festival, which was really cool. But I was the art director on that film, so I built a lot of the set pieces for that. One of them being a dog's head that's 4 feet by 3 feet. So that's stuff like that, like these big builds, and doing ridiculous fancy dress costumes, which every year people were like, what's she gonna wear this year? So yeah, I've constantly been making stuff, and they've never really pinpointed what I've made into an actual tangible thing. So someone says, oh, what do you make? Make stuff out of things I find, reappropriate charity shop gubbins. But lockdown was the only time where I've been in a position where I've not had to go to a job every day. So I would wake up in the morning and I would have that drive to do something. I constantly have a drive to do something. It's exhausting, but it's just there all the time. But with not being able to go to work because of it shutting down hospitality almost overnight, I started to think, well, if I've got this time, I'll make stuff. So I made this map. I drew this map of all my favourite walks. I had all these people asking if they could have a copy of this map, and I was like, right, I'm gonna have to get it printed. And if I get it printed, I'm gonna have to sell it. And if I sell it, I'm gonna have to have a website. Instantly sold hundreds of maps. It was crazy. I don't know what happened, but people wanted to buy this map and have it on their walls. And I had a website so I could put all my other work on it. And then I was like, oh no, maybe I could have an Instagram. I had an online presence now for my work. And something happened like overnight, and I was getting emails, I was getting messages, can you make this, can you make this? It was crazy. I made a pub for somebody, which was the first one I made, a pub down in Leytonstone, and after that, everyone wanted a pub. I made this miniature Brudenell one, which we sold for charity, which we auctioned off for charity, well, raffled off, should I say. We made £3,000 for the Trussell Trust off the back of making this miniature of the Brudenell, and that was all during the lockdown. And from that point onwards, I had a website, I had an email address, I had an Instagram. I was a maker. For the first time in my life, as a 33-year-old woman, I was actually finally able to call myself. People said, oh, have you got a website? I could go, yes, not, oh no, I've been meaning to make one for 12 years. But then lockdown ceased. So I had to go back and work full-time, obviously, and over full-time, really. There was some weeks we were doing 60 hours a week, just because of A, the love of it, and B, because it was just necessary. And then I was going home and working on my art, probably about 30 to 40 hours a week. So it was just not sustainable. It wasn't sustainable, and I couldn't really carry on the way I was with doing both. So I had to make a decision, and I stepped back from my full-time job. That was it. I just got messages, like 3 messages a week, asking for me to make these miniature buildings where people had met, most of which were pubs, meaningful pubs. Like, people have met their best friends there, their partners, they've got married, people got married in bars, first dates and stuff. So I think that pubs, even though I do other buildings as well, I do houses and I've done theatres and I've done all sorts, like restaurants and coffee shops, but pubs seem to be the ones that come up the most often. And I think that's because of the sense of community that you get from these specific establishments. Like, they're not just somewhere that you go and get pissed and have a packet of crisps and go home. Like, people forge proper friendships there, and they have memories of their first gigs at pubs, and they're meeting places for people and conversations. The best conversations happen in pubs, if you ask me. So I think that's the reason that they've kicked off, and it's not because I've chosen them, it's because they've chosen me. And I was recently approached by the British Institute of Innkeepers, which are like an organisation that gives support to licensees throughout the country. There's a couple of different institutions that do a similar thing, but they're a really, really big one, and every year they hold an annual award ceremony down in London on the Thames. And she approached me to make a miniature of the winner of the awards. But it was so amazing to be at this award ceremony amongst these people, because it made me realise and kind of solidify how I felt about the industry, you know, after having worked in pubs for a long time myself. And it was so emotional, like the emotion that was attached to every speech that was given at that award ceremony made me want to cry. So I felt very honoured to be asked to make a miniature of the winning pub, which I'm super excited to do. I think my parents are probably, I have spoken to them and they're super proud of where I am. But I think they're more quietly proud of where I am because they saw me struggle in uni. They saw me pleading to redo years and crying and stressing and just having basically a bit of a breakdown, and then after that it was just hospitality work. Now they can, they recently came to see the studio, and like just watching my mum and dad walk around and like pick up all my little bits, and I think it's really nice for them to see that I finally found what I've been looking for. Realistically, we're talking from a sort of adult sense, from the age of 15 really was where I wanted to be an artist as a career. So that's 20 years of searching for a space and a purpose, and you know, what do you do? I'm a maker, I'm a model maker, I'm a paper sculptor. Like, I've never been able to say that before, and now I can say that. I think my parents can be proud of me. Their friends say, oh, so what do your kids do? My mum can say, oh, my daughter's an artist. And I think she, as someone who wanted to do that, is must be very nice for her to know that her daughter's able to do it. And my dad is phenomenally proud because he's an architect, and he sees his daughter making tiny miniature buildings and using architectural terminology that he learned at college, and I'm learning it because I have to know it. Yeah, it's really nice. They're really proud.
What's the dream?
What's the dream? The dream is, I guess, I think at the moment I've got an okay balance. I'd love to be able to make more stuff that I've just made and people want to buy. At the moment I'm making other people's ideas come to life, which I absolutely love. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a dream. Like I was saying, how lovely it is to be able to do that for people. I love people and I love hearing people's stories, and that is what I do. I literally hear someone's story and I make it, whether it's a miniature building or whether it's a paper cut piece in a music box. I get told what people's first dances were, what the song was when they first met their partner. Like, come on, that's nice stuff. Like, how can you not fall in love with that?